good morning. You're welcome to Tea or Coffee. And you certainly need some tea or coffee this morning because it's quite a rainy day here. Okay, today we're so excited to have a guest who is going to discuss something really amazing, something everybody, I'm sure, is looking forward to learn about. My name is Victoria, and with me in the studio this morning is...
Popola Uraola.
Okay, so, Uraola, I know it was such a stressful thing coming in the rain and all that.
It was.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay,
So.
that's cool. That's cool, and I'm sure we're ready to have some tea or coffee
so
while we're listening to our guests.
All we have for you today.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to go on a short break, and when we return from the break, we would discuss with our guest something about the media or the family.
Whose child is it anyway? The media or parents?
Exactly.
Because you realize that most parents pursue their career, and when they do that, it's just to cater for the children, basically. You realize that it's to cater for the needs of the children. So now, when parents pursue their career, they still have to create time for the children.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine myself being at home as a mother.
Yeah.
I'm cooking in the kitchen, and I need something to distract my kids, my children, while doing that.
I'll keep them
and
engaged.
The only thing that could help me out is probably a TV that has a cartoon show for them, or I distract them with games so I can focus on whatever I'm doing. Okay. But the point now is, do parents regularize? Do they have restrictions for what these children watch? So we're going to be looking at all of that today.
Okay.
And when our guests come, I'm sure he will be able to do justice.
Okay, and we're also going to talk about social media platforms and the way kids, behave online. Our guest is a marketing consultant. He's a CEO of a marketing communications organization. He's had an extensive, more than a decade.
Yes.
So he's had extensive experience in different organizations in the marketing communications industry. So after the break, we'll learn all about this guest and what he's bringing to the table in terms of the media, how it has affected kids and the way they are raised. See you soon.
A thrilling and bonding experience at High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Enjoy an amazing retreat in our extremely secured environment with our breathtaking rides. Set goals for the upcoming year in our convenient multi-purpose halls. Bond between team members while giving your staff a desirable treat. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Welcome back to Tea or Coffee, and you certainly need some tea or coffee this morning because it is really a rainy day. Before the break, we introduced partially the guest we have on the show today, and I mentioned that he's had extensive experience in the marketing communications sector. He, from what I see here, has had some, experience with Saatchi & Saatchi, Center Spread FCB, and right now he's even the CEO of his own organization, Boomerang TTL. Please welcome with me this morning, Mr. Lanre Oyebola. You're welcome to Tea or Coffee, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, sir, and thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Okay, so you are a media marketing specialist, and you have worked with several brands that are children friendly. One of the challenges we've experienced lately in our media sphere is that a lot of kids, even those who are ideally not meant to have access to some media platforms, especially social media platforms, have been very active through their parents, posting things on their behalf on the social media platforms, and you see that it seems to be eroding some of our core values when it comes to things like respect and how to address people like courtesy and all that. I'll give an example. You have a situation where a particular child was drinking alcohol, and this child was like 4 years old, and the mom recorded that particular video and posted it on Instagram, and it was trending. Everybody wanted to see that video. Then you have another situation where a child is giving the mom sass, and it's funny to people. Everybody wants to see it. So as a media specialist, as someone who has worked with children brands, what are your thoughts about things like this and how it relates to our cultural values?
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I mean, that's it's one of the realities and the challenges that we are obviously going to deal with into the future. The truth of the matter is that technology in itself has both advantages and disadvantages. Essentially, technology is meant to help us enable the things that we do and for us to be able to do them more efficiently and effectively. And to a large extent, social media in itself, because of its proliferation, is very prone to abuse.
Yeah.
And the case that you've just mentioned is actually a case of abuse. Not just abuse for the child alone, it's actually an abuse of the space, the media space, particularly social media. Today, everyone has access to the internet, and it's going to even get a lot worse if proper regulations are not put in place. Because as we have democratization with regards to data, very soon that you will have what you call, the distribution of data, where a box that you typically will have bought to just have the ability to see some pay-to-view channels would also have the ability to give you internet connection in a home. And then you have a high level of penetration of mobile devices. We might even begin to see a lot more of this kind of developments happen, because the abuse will be a lot more than that. More importantly, because we are now in the era where everybody wants to be an influencer. Everyone wants to be a social media influencer.
Yeah.
And typically for the layman, the way people would measure an influencer, for example, is how many people engage with the social content that is on my channel or my handle. So for that reason, people just go rogue and just put anything and whatever they consider, to be attractive enough for people to either go there to view the content, to put whatever comments, on the content, and even to like the content. Recall that there was a time where one of the social media platforms had to introduce the 8 so you can actually hate or dislike a content.
Yes.
It raised a lot of noise, and people felt no, you don't really, if you don't like it, just don't say anything. Why should you put such? But might be a solution into the future where maybe owners of these platforms, owners of these applications might have to put in where maybe a thumbs down, so you put a content that I found offensive, that the society frowns at, people can give you. So if you have so many thumbs down, I guess maybe a couple of people might then begin to, relook, what and how they engage and the kind of content they want to put up on their different handles. Okay. But the truth of the matter is that there is an abuse.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Larry, what role do you think movies and music videos play in this aspect of children, because most of the times they watch the television? So what role do you think movies and music videos play?
Okay, I don't want to. I'm trying to pick my words very carefully. The reality again is that let's go back in time and understand how music used to be made and what extent people go to make a movie.
Okay.
To produce a single piece of musical work, sometimes, takes months, because you have somebody who will write the song, somebody who would arrange the song. You have every piece of musical instrument will be played live. Every one will be played. I mean, go back in the days. I don't want to mention any particular musician. Just take the stage performance of some of them, and that's why you find that today brands and everyone pays a huge sum of money to have somebody stand on the stage and mime to a song for 4 minutes, and then you pay such a person some ridiculous amount of money miming to his own or her own song. That's ridiculous, isn't it? Now, what does that say to us? Again, that stretches the abuse with technology. Because today, you don't need to have human beings play any musical instrument to make any music. You can actually, we've had instances where a musical act had said once, while you are making the beat, he's already selling the song. So someone had made a beat waiting for a song to be recorded.
Yeah.
He's right in the studio and he just jumps on the song, and before you know what is happening, he has one single right in the market.
Yes.
And if you look at it, you begin to query content. Because whatever you have not sat down to thoroughly go through in putting down your lyrics and asking yourself, what is the message in the music? When people just have to make music at the spur of the moment, you could expect anything. I don't want to mention, but you see, you know what I'm talking about. There are too many. We've had comedians joke about songs, park, reverse, pull over.
Yeah,
That sounds familiar.
So I don't want to appear like
mention
I'm getting at anyone, but the truth of the matter is when you review the content. So what is essentially do we find today in the music space in Nigeria? Beats.
True.
So nobody wants to care what is being said. Everybody just focuses on the beat. And interestingly, that's what you also find on social media. So you find parents who will put their children together and play this music, get them dancing and doing very, very not so nice stuff, and then put them up on social media so that they could say, who dance better, who does better,
And the
who
trend.
did and then they are enjoying the fact that it's trending. So there's a lot there's a lot of abuse that is going on. A lot.
Okay. So we're looking at the media and the parents, how they affect our culture, how they affect the lives of his children. So now you find most children saying, I want to be like my dad, he's a pilot. I want to be like my mom, she's an engineer. I want to be like this and that. Why? Because they've looked at the lives of their parents. They've seen what's late in the lives of their parents. So now I want to know the contribution parents have in the lives of these children that actually look up to them as their role models.
Now, unfortunately, the world we are today is no more the world where we have children who are nurtured by society. And when I mean society, if I look back in time growing up, so you are Mr. A's son, but you can be severely dealt with by Mr. Z, who doesn't know you from Adam, but simply seeing that you've just gone out of line. And then he will do that, hold you by the hand, take you to your house and tell your parents, I saw him doing this and I've dealt with him.
Yeah.
They will thank him for doing that. In fact, they could actually ask him to do more. But so you find today that the social space has become the new parent. So a couple of things will play out. So if you live in the typical Osu-Bosu city of Lagos, for example, where the parents will get up at 4 a.m. and get back into the house at about 11 midnight. So the child is left in the hand of who?
The society.
A maid and media.
Yeah.
So that means that the media must become more responsible in Nigeria. And I'm not talking traditional media. Because there's very little that you find with traditional media. There's a lot that happens that is not controlled, that is not censored, that is not governed by any regulation when it comes to social media. So to a large extent, what we find today, again, the music will determine the video. If everything you find in the lyrics of the song is about shaking, and what have you. What is the video? The video can't say any other thing other than to play out whatever the lyrics is.
Exactly.
And for that reason, that's what the child is exposed to.
Okay.
And so that's what we have on our hands. Unfortunately, the West is actually, to a large extent, using these platforms for better stuff. And we don't find anything inspirational. Check half of the inspirational content that you get on social media today. How many of them are homegrown?
Yeah.
How many of them are local content? How many? Half of what you see, over 80% of them are all white faces, Western people talking about their stories. Are you saying we don't have those stories in Nigeria? Are we saying that we cannot have such content go on social media and trend? There are quite a lot of them, a lot of such stories. But because of the quick to fame syndrome that is happening in Nigeria today, all right, you find people not ready to want to do anything that has substance and content. Everybody wants quick to fame. So all you are looking for is what are the things that can get you those, the quick, reactions on social media. And those are the things that are, are completely, against the values that we share as a people.
Okay, so you mentioned that social media platforms have now become the parents of these kids, because, a typical parent in a place like Lagos State would wake up and leave as early as 4 and leave the kids to maybe the nanny or daycare system. Would it be right to say that the parents are actually not doing enough, because maybe the kids shouldn't even have access to these platforms in the first place until they are at least up to 18 years and able to make a conscious choice of the kind of content they want to see online? Or would we put more of the responsibility on the content providers on social media platforms to check the kind of content they put out there?
It's like the case of the chicken and the egg. Which comes first?
Yes.
But again, it's going to be about responsibility. Responsibility on the part of the parents, responsibility on the part of content creators, responsibility on the part of even the society, government inclusive. How do we ensure that, if we don't take care of tomorrow will definitely take care of us.
Definitely.
I pray that we do not get to a situation where, we find a situation where, where we've lost almost everything that makes us who we are. You talked about back in the days, people want to be, certain professions. Today, when you ask, and I joke at that, honestly, and not a nice joke. I engage young people regularly, and when I do, and I ask someone who is gone to a private university, for example, and through the course of being in school, the parents must have spent right about 5 million or more. And this person had come out with a degree in whatever engineering, let's say, for example, chemical engineering.
Yeah.
Then you meet this young lady and you say, what would you like to do? And she says, I want to be a makeup artist. So I say to myself, why did you have to spend all that money, all that number of years to end up being a makeup artist?
Yes.
You probably would have said to your parents, please save all the money, buy me all the equipment I need. I'm sure they will have saved about more than 70% of the money.
Yes.
Get me into a makeup studio. Let me start learning makeup, So I make that, it's a reality. What is driving that is social media. Because everybody today, right, to a large extent, is a makeup artist.
Yes. True.
Either by default or by calling,
Yes.
if there's anything like that. So you just find that everyone wants to have something that they can just put up and say, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And I dare say that a time is coming that we may take us back to the day of trade and barter. In Nigeria, if we are not careful, that two ladies will say, I make you up, you make me up. Nobody pays because everybody is a makeup artist. So you will find that the law of demand and supply will just play out, and there will be so much supply of makeup artists. So the same thing is playing out when you find people who do. Everybody wants to make a piece of clothes right now. Everybody is a tailor or fashion designer or whatever they call it. We are not professionalizing. We are not in spaces that are developmental. It does this, the gap that is in our society, the quick to fame. Everyone wants to start today and is looking for what is the shortest route to making money.
Yes.
If you say you want to be a chemical engineer, you know how long it will take you?
Yeah.
So, but if you want to be a makeup artist, you can start earning money tomorrow. So everybody is looking at the shortest route that gives them access to money. And what that does in its entirety is the fact that it's changing to a large extent, the kind of, people that we have. Our population is about 65% young people.
Yeah.
Younger than 40.
Okay, would we say that the reason why everybody seems to want to go for things that will make them popular or get rich quick is because, for instance, if I spend 5 years in the university studying to be a chemical engineer and I spend another year serving the government, then after these 6 years I come out and I can't get a job. Yet I see on social media platforms makeup artists making a minimum of 50,000 naira a day for just one job. And this is something I might not even get until maybe like in the next 2 years because I haven't gotten a job yet. So would you say it's really the fault of the social media platforms that these people are going there, or it's a societal problem that the kids have graduated and they can't get jobs that is making them deviate?
We can, like I said, again, is a function of the chicken and the egg. So who carries the can?
Yes.
Is it the government? Is it society? Is it the student? Or the young people themselves? So you came out of school and you wanted to be a chemical engineer.
Yes.
You chose chemical engineering. The point is this: define what you want to do ab initio. Don't get halfway to realize where you're going. I mean, you should know where the end result and the end game is. So before you go, look at it. So on the basis of economics, is it wise for that individual to have gone into something beauty or something related to that space, than to have gone spending? Okay, maybe someone said, when I use that example, he said, maybe so that he will understand the chemical component of the makeup and then he's able to apply to skin texture. Now that is like taking it further. Now, however, that's on a lighter note. But then, like you said, it is not exactly like, okay, maybe the government is wrong or the young people are wrong. But when you look at it, yes, everyone wants to get out of school and start to make a living. But more importantly, let me shock you that if someone had gone to school at all and you have done anything, let's again take the example of the chemical whatever, do you know that if you consider the population of Nigeria, we really do not need many people who come out of school seeking employment. We need more people who come out of school who will be in the spaces of what they can create. And I'm not talking about what they can create in terms of what we see today in social media. So I give an example. Do you know, sir, so if anyone had gone to school and had truly gone to school, you can make a bar or so if you have done anything related to that. You can compete within your small community. Check businesses in America, how they grow. They usually start from their garage. Then they service a small community very close to them. Maybe at the most 5 meters away from them. Then when you start servicing those people, you service them to the point that, you create that market. These people will tell other people. Then it gets to the point that your production goes beyond what you can handle alone. Then you hire 1 or 2 other people to join it. But you see, the challenge is that we are not a group of people who are patient enough to wait and see things grow. Okay. We want to get into it and start to reap today. Things that might take, months. You are in this facility today. I'm sure that whoever has come up with this initiative did not start today. It probably are taking ages, years, of planning, of growing, of learning, of doing things and undoing some. So the point is that we are now in the generation of quick fixes.
Okay, so we will go on a short break, and when we return, we will continue with the strain of thoughts, because I would really like to learn more about this generation of quick fixes. So we'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll still be speaking to Mr. Lanre Oyegbola, the CEO, Boomerang TTL. Don't go anywhere.
Walking into comfort in a safe environment is every family's dream. At High Impact Planet Resort, our fully furnished service apartment is a home away from home. Amazing views right in your luxurious world. Work out to keep fit for an amazing body at the gym. Get affordable groceries and personal care items at the supermarket. Feel relaxed and beautify yourself at the fully equipped spa. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Welcome back to Tea or Coffee, and I hope you've grabbed a cup of tea or a cup of coffee to go through the rainy day. Before the break, we were speaking to Mr. Lanre Oyegbola, the CEO, Boomerang TTL. He was talking about our generation being a generation of quick fixes, right? Yes. Okay. And during the break, there was this very interesting point that came up about people starting small, starting their businesses, like what you find outside Nigeria, where people start their businesses in their garages. You have someone like Mark Zuckerberg, who started in his dorm room. You have people who start baking in their apartments. So we're going to hear more from him about this line of thought. Mr. Lanre, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Okay. Just like we said, I know some people will call me old school.
Sometimes old school is good.
But the truth of the matter is that we do not want to become, we're already suffering from the fact that we're a consuming economy. We don't want to make it worse over the next couple of years. 30 years, 40 years from now, if we don't reverse this trend, it might be very, 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 I don't want to use negative words for our economy.
Yes.
So I love to look at the challenges that we have, because in it are inherent opportunities. So if we have right about 200 million people, 200 million people, it means that every day 200 million people need to eat. And if you follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where he talked about basic needs, I always ask people that if you check the biggest businesses in the world, the top 10 businesses and brands in the world are brands who have not gone beyond the basic needs. Their focus is about how to deliver the basic needs of people. Recently, I saw top 10 retail brands, and I saw some chains, Asda, Kroger, and all of that. Yeah. What do they sell? Basic needs. Food, maybe some clothing, some household items. How can we come back home and begin to say, how do I service 5 streets away from my street and provide as little as just freshly baked bread? It doesn't take too much to bake bread. It doesn't at all. Because you can buy small ovens today and you can easily bake bread. people will say bake cake, but people don't eat cake every day.
Yeah.
But people will definitely eat bread every day. So it's been raining all day. When you have a cup of coffee and a cup of tea,
Don't forget yours.
typically what goes along
Yes.
is maybe just a little bit of bread, and you can then add a lot different spice as you wish to eat. But what you will find is that over time, as you service that little community, it begins to grow. So if anyone had gone to school, for example, and you don't need to study baking or catering,
Yes.
but you could have studied business management. So if I had studied business administration, I don't need to go get a job. I can create a business and then manage that business. Do I need to be the baker? Maybe, maybe not. But then I can create a system that allows me to have a pool of people who understand how to bake, and I manage that business. And then you see that business. We've had stories of people who were cooking for friends in Nigeria, and from cooking for friends, started cooking for parties, and then before they then started having quick service restaurants.
But it will make them popular on social media.
No, but then, so it's not going to make them popular on social media. However, it could still make them popular on social media because you can translate that content to something that is inspirational, and you can still become an influencer. All right? Because when you talk about how you started the process, how you are able to sell your first loaf of bread to convince your next door neighbor to buy your bread, that is enough a content that can inspire someone who is trying to make a sale. How you are able to engineer and then arrange your team can become another content. So when you watch a lot of reality shows that you find in the West, they pick stories like this and then turn them into, content that people will stay with and then watch.
And also influence the kids.
And then influence the kids positively. So, but that takes a while. It takes planning, it takes thinking through and all of that. But the quick fix doesn't need to take any, just a spur of the moment. It's just something that it just comes to you. Like the Americans will say, it's just a whim. And then you just quickly record it with your mobile phone and you put it up and the thing starts trending.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, you heard one recently now. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, Mr. Lanre, I would want us to look into the educational sector of the topic. That is, these children we're discussing about, they go to schools. And when they get to school, you find them having this group discussion about what they saw on the social media, what they saw on the internet. That's the first part of my question. And the second part is, you mentioned something earlier that everybody wants to be quick to get money. You hear youth of nowadays mention things like, you don't have to go to school to be great. You don't have to go to school to have money. I know this person that didn't go to school and this is what he is now. This is what she is now. I know this person that didn't go to school. He's heard of all over the world. So please, I would want you to elaborate on that aspect.
Fantastic. You know what is driving that conclusion? Is show business. Yes. And I always like to use to dissect that word, show biz. So it's a show and it's a business.
Yeah.
It's not reality. So half of what we see, half of what people use to now determine or to form, to draw a conclusion is by virtue of what they are exposed to. So you hear a certain musician who tried to go to school and then he left school and is making so much money, billions in the account. So you got a young boy who is coming out of school and is trying to also make music. He says, I don't need to go to school because my role model. So how many role models do we have in this media space that are pushing the right kind of content that helps people to focus their energies in the way that truly can be sustainable production? What we don't have in Nigeria is that we do not have things that are sustainable.
Okay.
All the so-called celebrities 10 years ago, where are they today?
Maybe they decided to diversify.
Oh, fantastic. So they diversified and suddenly they are no more celebrity. Must diversification make you less of being a celebrity? Elsewhere in the world, they diversify, they become bigger celebrities. Because you now see the person from doing this, now the clothing line, now has other things. And then, some of them, even brands approach them to now put their names on their brand so that they can use them to sell.
Yeah.
That's how do they transit? I'm sure they don't make their own beats.
Okay.
The way a cup of coffee is made.
Okay.
So they make standard music, all right, that then stand the test of time. Then, so this, if we begin to understand that, so when you talk about students come together and then they talk and then all of that, it's just peer influence because everybody is exposed to the same thing. And there is a wannabe mentality. Nobody wants to be left out. Everybody is a wannabe. Everybody, I don't want to mention certain places. So you ask someone, where do you live? He says he lives in a part of Lagos. And then when you check what the address is, it's actually like, but then it claims, so there's a wannabe, there's a mentality. There's a mentality of people losing, the grip of who they are. And everybody is living a fake life. Everybody is living a fake life. Someone recently posted on social media and he says, okay, so everybody talks about this very touche food that you see on Instagram. How come Mama Put is still thriving in Nigeria? By now, there should be nobody going to Mama Put.
Yes.
Because if everybody says, this is what I'm having for lunch, so people have even collected pictures. Things they've never eaten. Or things they only imagine to eat. They put it there and they say...
It's the standard
Yes.
that we've set for ourselves in society.
So you look at all of that and you begin to ask yourself, where is this driving to? Where is it all driving to? It's a complete failure in system, complete failure in society, and everybody.
Okay. Well, I'm sure, despite the fake life that we seem to see on social media, we must have some positives from the use of the social media, especially for businesses to go global. Yes.
Definitely.
So,
there are lots of positives. That's what I said. Is about media in itself is like what you have in your hands, and is open to how you deploy it. Okay. There's a lot of positive, and there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. If we take example again, the person will say you start from your neighborhood, 5 streets away from you, you're selling your bread, and then you're able to put the content. Somebody far away, will see that bread and want to have a bite. That's what social media can do for you. That's what the media can do. It helps you take a local production in a small space and help you to amplify it in a way that people where you may never imagine want to then begin to reach out to you. That same business can become so projected that you can find a foreign investor who can look at that small business and say, oh, I see an opportunity here and I want to get involved. Today, I don't know if you know, a certain solution is using social media to help people develop farm hubs. So that is what we should invest time in, and not the quick fixes.
Okay, awesome. We have been speaking to Mr. Lanre Oyegbola. I wish we could just go on and on, but unfortunately, our time is almost up. We've been discussing the whose child is it anyway?
Media or the parents?
Yes, and it seems that the media is more of the parents nowadays than the child. Thank you so much, Mr. Lanre, for coming.
You're welcome.
And thank you for shedding a lot of light on how we can use social media instead of using it as a get-rich-quick kind of platform. Until next time, same time tomorrow, please stay tuned to Tea or Coffee, and don't forget to check us out on our social media platforms to share your thoughts about this. Keep the social media as kid-friendly as possible. So until next time tomorrow, we'll be sure that the kids are saying the right thing online. Bye-bye. My name remains Victoria.
And I am Wuraola Popola.
Okay, see you. Bye.